Hello everyone. Have you ever wondered where the line actually falls between an ordinary bad day and a genuine mental health concern that needs professional help? Today we are going to explore the clinical assessment guide for understanding mental health, its warning signals, and the way mental illnesses are classified. Let us begin by understanding what mental health actually means. It is a state of well being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. It is important to remember that mental health is not just the absence of mental disorder. Mental well being rests on three supporting pillars. The first is self, meaning a person feels comfortable about himself and has self respect. The second is others, meaning a person feels right towards others, is able to feel a part of the group, and can like and trust others. And the third is demands of life, meaning a person is able to meet demands, think for himself, make his own decisions, set reasonable goals, and is not overwhelmed by emotions like fear, anger, love, or guilt. Now let us look at Dr. Menninger's warning signals. These were formulated by William C. Menninger as a method for individuals to take their own mental health pulse. The important rule here is that help is necessary if the answer to any of these questions is definitely yes. Thinking of this as a diagnostic threshold. Everyday stress and fluctuation is normal, but once a response crosses that threshold into a definite yes, professional help becomes necessary. Let us go through the warning signals index from A to G. A stands for always worrying, B stands for being browned off and constantly bitter. C stands for being continuously unhappy without justified cause. D stands for having difficulty concentrating for unrecognized reasons. E stands for everyday frustrations, such as children or others consistently getting on one's nerves. F stands for fluctuation of mood in a wider way, meaning incapacitating swings from depression to elation. And G stands for feeling gloomy if the routine of life is disturbed. Continuing the warning signals index from H to M. H stands for continually hating to be with people. I stands for being insistent on being right, where the other person is always seen as wrong. J stands for justifiable fear missing, meaning being afraid without any real or justifiable cause. K stands for aches and pains for which no doctor can find a physical cause. L stands for losing temper easily and often. And M stands for methodical, meaning regular insomnia. Now let us understand the clinical context used to classify illness. Mental and behavioral disorders are clinically significant conditions characterized by alteration in thinking, mood or emotions or behavior. Importantly, they must be associated with personal distress or impaired functioning. There is also a key temporal caveat to keep in mind. One incidence of abnormal behavior or a short period of abnormal mood does not by itself signify the presence of a mental or behavioral disorder. Looking at the temporal context timeline, a normal baseline includes only a transient mood or incidence, a brief spike that quickly returns to normal. But a clinical baseline is reached only when the diagnostic threshold is met, meaning the condition becomes a sustained syndrome over time. Let us now look at the first classification system, the ICD-10 framework, covering categories 1 to 5. Category 1 covers organic disorders, for example, dementia in Alzheimer's disease or delirium. Category 2 covers substance use, for example, harmful use of alcohol or opioid dependence syndrome. Category 3 covers the schizophrenia spectrum, for example, paranoid schizophrenia, delusional disorders, and acute and transient psychotic disorders. Category 4 covers mood or affective disorders, for example, bipolar affective disorder or a depressive episode. And Category 5 covers neurotic and stress related disorders, for example, generalized anxiety disorder, or obsessive compulsive disorder. Continuing the ICD-10 framework covering categories 6 to 11. Category 6 covers physiological syndromes, for example, eating disorders or non-organic sleep disorders. Category 7 covers adult personality and behavior, for example, paranoid personality disorder or transsexualism. Category 8 covers mental retardation, serving as a classification placeholder within the system. Category 9 covers psychological development, for example, specific reading disorders or childhood autism. And Category 10 covers disorders with onset in childhood and adolescence, for example, hyperkinetic disorders, conduct disorders, and tic disorders. Next, let us look at classification B, which separates major illnesses from minor illnesses. Major illnesses, known as psychosis, cross a specific threshold where the patient is out of touch with reality. Schizophrenia, sometimes described as split personality, involves living in a personal dream world. Manic depressive psychosis involves extreme variations from heights of excitement to depths of depression. And paranoia involves extreme suspicion along with a progressive tendency to view the world through a framework of delusions. On the other hand, minor illnesses have a different threshold, where the person is unable to react normally to life situations but is not considered insane by those around them. Neurosis or psychoneurosis involves exhibiting morbid fears, compulsions, and obsessions. And personality and character disorders are often the legacy of unfortunate childhood experiences and perceptions. Now, let us look at classification C, which separates psychotic profiles from non psychotic profiles. Psychotic conditions involve a loss of reality contact. Core traits include disordered thoughts, difficulty knowing what is real, delusions, and hallucinations. This category maps to several types, including brief reactive psychosis lasting less than 1 month following severe stress, drug induced psychosis lasting a few months, organic psychosis from brain disruption or Alzheimer's disease, schizophrenia lasting more than 6 months, bipolar disorder with mania, and psychotic depression without mania. Importantly, the prognosis note tells us that full and independent lives are possible with effective medication and support. On the other hand, non-psychotic conditions involve overwhelming everyday feelings. Core traits include normal feelings like sadness, anxiety, and fear becoming so overwhelming that they impair coping with daily work, recreation, and relationships. This category maps to types such as agoraphobia, anxiety disorder, panic disorder, social disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, post traumatic stress disorder, eating disorders, and personality disorders. The key threshold that separates these two categories is simply contact with reality. To bring everything together, let us summarize this clinical assessment blueprint. The first pillar is the diagnostic threshold, where Menninger's rule remains absolute. A definite yes to any of the 13 warning signals from A to M warrants professional assessment. The second pillar is the temporal requirement. Since mental illness classifications rely on duration, transient distress does not equal a syndrome, and symptoms must be sustained and must impair function. And the third pillar is the reality divide, whether using the major and minor framework or the psychotic and non-psychotic framework. The clinical anchor for taxonomy relies heavily on the patient's tether to reality and their ability to cope with daily life. Hope you have understood about mental health indicators and classifications. Please like, subscribe for more easy to understand public health and epidemiology videos. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.